So I do get a lot of questions on this one, gentlemen, is how do I achieve that capped shoulder look? Now, of course, genetics is going to play a significant part in this, but I have been asked, or it has been suggested on some occasions, that I am on some sauce. Now, it's not a lot. I really don't think that I look particularly juicy in that context, but if I've had a lot of carbs and I'm full and I've got a good pump going, I can see it. I can see it. I mean, I think we'd be all naive in saying that we weren't all desiring that kind of almost bodybuilder-esque, steroidish-esque physique when you've got big full muscle bellies, big capped shoulders. Actually, somebody commented on a picture the other day, I think I'll put this as my thumbnail, that the capped shoulders look very, very sus because your androgenic receptors in the chest, which are more prevalent in the shoulders, and especially the traps and the shoulders, they're the ones that respond quickest whenever you are taking any androgenic, anabolic steroid, I should say, pardon me, not androgenic. The androgenic receptors are going to be more sensitive if you're practicing things like SR, if you are eating a diet that is free from junk food and whole food, things like that. Generally healthy lifestyle. I'm not going to beat you over the head with this. But my ultimate secret for that kind of capped shoulder look, handstands. Handstands. My shoulders absolutely blew up when I started learning how to do handstands. Now, a lot of people, handstands are difficult. I'm not gonna play with you. Handstands are difficult, but the payoff is significant. You do not want to be the guy at the gym who is just doing sagittal plane style movements and is not very functional. Handstands are the ultimate calisthenic flex. They are so impressive. They are so more impressive to me, at least in my experience, because again, I have a history of going through the trials and tribulations of learning how to do a handstand, and not just a handstand, but a handstand press up. In my peak, I could do about 12 press ups freestanding from a handstand. And if you don't believe me, check out my IG. But specifically, guys, I find a freestanding handstand, so I mean a handstand not using a wall, right? Meaning you can just walk and you can just jump into a handstand and bang out 10 handstand press-ups. Significantly more impressive than if you can bench 3 plates. I really do. If you see somebody doing that in a gym, which is rare, it is such an eye draw. And I'm not saying you're doing it for the eye draw, you're doing it for that kind of capped shoulder look, because you're getting significant range of motion throughout the whole handstand press up. The time under tension is what I believe is the key, and the control on the eccentric. Because you're stronger in the eccentric, you are going to notice when you start to learn how to do a handstand press up that your eccentrics are nice and long, nice and slow. And the stress that is putting on the anterior portion of the deltoid is so significant. And it's not just time under tension, which is the most important role, but it's also the repetitions that you're getting in as well. So you're building a lot of what is called sarcoplasm in the muscle, which is kind of fluid in the muscle. So there's 2 types of hypertrophy. There's something called myofibrillar hypertrophy, and there's sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Now, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is more the kind of aesthetic that you will see in a bodybuilder. So bodybuilders kind of have big full bellies in the muscle, and it creates a nice shape and a kind of capped look because there's a lot more fluid in the muscle. Myofibrillar hypertrophy is more that kind of dense, grainy look. And it's more consistent with if you're like a power lifter or you're doing low reps, but very, very high intensity. Now, whenever I do or was practicing how to go up to shoulder pressing, of course, maybe you're using the parallel bars. Maybe you're doing with your a pike push-up, so your legs are supported on a chair and you're just learning how to get that pressing movement going. I think there's something to be said in maybe doing kettlebell presses because the range of motion is better. So you start with it in a clean position and then you're pressing with the kettlebell. That really helps your nervous system get into the pattern of pressing. Of course, there's something to be said for OHPs, overhead presses. So you got the barbell, you're pressing up like this. But I was really good at handstand presses actually from the get-go. I did use a wall to get started because my balance wasn't that great. But guys, I was benching 130 kilograms when I was maybe 20, and I was only 70 kg soaking wet. So my, which is very, very light. I'm 5'8", by the way. So my weight to pressing ratio was always really, really good. I can almost press, I could probably press like 1.5 to 1.75 my body weight, which is significantly, well, it is impressive for me. Not a lot of people can do that. So if you're finding handstand press-ups really, really difficult, just work on your bench, work on your dips. Dips would be phenomenal because again, it's still that pressing pattern. But honestly, guys, if you want that capped shoulder look, forget about lateral raises. Throw lateral raises away. Front raises are probably even worse. There's no, I don't think I've done a front raise since university. So that'd be like 2000. I don't think I've done a front raise since 2018. So 7 years ago. They're pointless. But my anterior deltoids look tremendous. Because when you're handstand pressing, you're not stopping the range of, like if I do a front raise, right guys, if you look at me, if I do a front raise, so I get flexion of the shoulder here, okay, that's a front raise, flex the shoulder. But if I'm doing a press, like think about the shoulder area, if I'm doing a handstand press, I'm pressing, so I'm taking my humerus, not just here, but up here, okay? So I'm getting twice the range of motion in a handstand press up than I am in a front raise. Front raise, pointless exercise in my personal opinion. I could be wrong later down the line. Maybe I'll come back to front raises, but I just think there are far superior exercises to do for that capped shoulder development than a front raise. Lateral raises, okay, yeah, they have a time and place because it's difficult to hit the lateral head, but again, when you're rotating the humerus out here and you're pressing upward, you are getting some lateral delt activation. Now, for the real rounded look, guys, this is honestly two of my favorite exercises to get that kind of 3D Phil Heath capped shoulder look. This is what you want to do. You want to do a 45 degrees bent over row. Not you're coming this way when you're rowing. You want to have your torso about 45. So it's kind of an upright. So it's not really a bent over row. It's an upright row. And then you want to make sure your elbows, right? You're really rowing that thing vertically. Yeah. Your rear delts will blow up if you do that exercise because you can load a lot of weight on that. Try and have a wider grip. Don't go too narrow. If you're too narrow, you're hitting more trap. Go a little bit wider and then really row that thing up towards your chin. Again, 45 degrees. You maybe even a little bit more upright. The correct exercise name for this, if you want to see what this looks like, is called a Yates row. And I actually have a video that I did maybe about a year ago on how to do a Yates row. This is why Dorian Yates had the best upper back development of all time. Of all time. Even, well, the back in general. There was a reason he was called the Shadow. And then the last one, guys, if you really want that extra pop, that extra 3D, I never see people doing this exercise, by the way. You will never see it. It is a single arm Yates row. That is the easiest way to describe it. It is an upright row. Okay, so you got the barbell like this, and you're rowing with both. Do that, but with one dumbbell, one arm at a time. Honestly, it is my favorite exercise. It feels so good. The problem for me with an upright row is it feels incredibly awkward to me when you do it with two hands, right? When you're like, this is really, really awkward, and you can't load a lot of weight on it, and it puts the shoulder in a very compromising position. Trust me, I think I have a dumbbell here. I've got a dumbbell here, right? You want to get a dumbbell. Let's see if I can place this a little bit further away. You want to get the dumbbell like I'm going to cut this in a moment so I can show you properly, because again, this exercise is superior, guys, superior. Okay, so the great thing about this one, guys, is I always do this by the weight rack. So you've got your weight rack in front of you. Now this would probably be too light for me. This is about 7.5 kg. I could probably do about maybe 25 kg. Take this thing, I'm trying to rotate this down just a little bit better so you can see. Room's a little bit messy, so you have to excuse me, guys. So you're going to take this weight, lean forward like this, let this thing hang. I'm still upright right now, and then you want to upright row like this, bang, bang, and try and stop your torso from swaying. You're going to want to do this and use your lower back. Try and keep your torso back 45 degrees, maybe a little bit higher. Hang. I like to have that thing hang. And I'm thinking about this part popping out, right? And I'm just driving the elbow upwards, driving the elbow upwards, driving the elbow upwards. And again, with this, you can go so significantly heavier, one arm at a time. I never see people doing this exercise, never see it, and it will blow your rear delts up. Don't worry about the cable crossover, cable crossover. Don't do that shit. That shit is suboptimal. The secret to back development, in my opinion, and the rear delts are part of the back, is rows. The problem when you make the lever nice and long from a cable crossover is you lose so much leverage, and you have to lighten the weight. Like, you can't put barely any weight with a cable crossover. But remember, the rear delt is attached to the humerus. It's not attached to the the forearm doesn't really matter. So you just I'm only thinking about my elbow whenever I'm doing when I'm thinking about shoulder development, I'm only really thinking about my elbow. I'm not really thinking about my forearm and what my hand is attached to. I'm just thinking, where can I put this elbow? Where can I put this elbow, and where can I attach as much weight as possible to this elbow? When I'm in the handstand press, I can take this elbow all the way through here, and I'm getting so much range and so much activation. When I've got the upright row, I'm taking my elbow. This is a interesting video. I'm taking my elbow from here, right, and I'm coming all the way up, So look how much range I'm getting there. Okay, and you can load this thing up with so much weight, and your shoulders will be nice and capped. These are not theories today, gentlemen. These are facts. Speak soon.